should the SEC secede from the NCAA? This is kind of something where Greg Sankey has floated this idea. You saw, honestly, everyone at SEC Media Days other than Sark made comments of, should the SEC be a part of the NCAA, because they're kind of angry at how the college football playoff turned out. My personal opinion, I thought it was fine. I didn't really think Alabama, Ole Miss, or South Carolina deserved to be in, but that's my opinion. Gerald, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm of a couple of minds here. One, the SEC is already getting its way. Like I'm a company man through and through. Like, first of all, so I'm like, you will rarely hear me say bad things about the SEC because, well, I've got to hype our own brand, right? But ultimately, when I think about it, the SEC is kind of throwing a hissy fit over something that doesn't really matter all that much, because there is a world in. I think if you're a 10-win team in the SEC, you're probably in the college football playoff, regardless of the situation. So it's weird for me to get all bent out of shape about that. I don't love the direction that college football is heading. I think a lot of why I fell in love with college football is the regionality and the weirdness of it and all of that. And we continue to move towards this marketing-y, venture capital-y feeling situation that college football is in right now. I also will say I don't love the NCAA and the way that it's run itself for the last several decades, right? They haven't. They've abdicated most of the responsibility for the major things that they should be doing. They don't even award a champion in college football, right? They don't. They've been derelict in a lot of their duties. They've been crippled by the lack of urgency they've showed on NIL and the transfer portal, and they've kind of made the wrong decision in multiple ways. The way that they handle enforcement, where they'll let a big dog go, but then they'll kind of like bludgeon a smaller school in and of itself. But I think leaving the NCAA is not the right move, ultimately, because it's not all about football. And I think if you leave for football purposes, the rest of the teams will suffer, right? The Texas Longhorns right now are sitting in a Women's College World Series waiting for their opponent. Looks like it might be Texas Tech, could be OU, but Texas Tech is leading right now. That's neither here nor there, right? Like, Texas is super competitive in all of these other sports that would be hurt and hindered by leaving the NCAA. And so I think that, to me, is the biggest argument against it, is that, and Texas isn't the only school that is super competitive, right? Oklahoma, right? That's another SEC school. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, LSU, all these schools that are competitive in multiple non-football sports would take a major hit if the SEC ultimately decided to leave the NCAA, because if the SEC is going to take the thing that makes them money away, then why are they going to let the rest of those schools stay, or those sports stay around?
No, I agree to a certain extent. I'm fine with seceding from the NCAA if you can somehow keep or get the other conferences to do it as well. Like, if you get the Big 10, Big 12, and ACC on board to secede, I completely agree with that, because at that point, they're not needed. You don't need to do it. You guys can do it yourself. Like, just have your 4 commissioners talk and set up a system. Now, I completely disagree if you're just going to be like, you know what, we're the SEC, we don't need everyone else for leaving, because I don't like that. I agree with you. The college football is different from the NFL for a reason, and that's why people are college football fans and not NFL fans in certain cases. And, the talk of Notre Dame and USC not playing, to me, I know that doesn't have to do with the SEC, but that's just crazy. And there's some things like that I just don't understand why we just are changing for change's sake, I guess. That's what I see some of these things happening. I think it's really dumb, and I don't agree with it at all. And at the end of the day, I am a college football fan before I'm a Texas Longhorns fan, because, listen, without college football, who's Texas going to play? If the SEC secedes, are we just going to play each other, and then the SEC championship game is the championship? I don't like that. I would lose interest, honestly, if that did happen. I like when Texas plays Ohio State, Texas plays Clemson, Texas plays Florida State, Texas plays so on and so forth, Notre Dame, when they play and compete for national championships against each other. That's boring if we're just playing conference schedules and end up with like a conference championship for the championship. So I completely disagree with it. Listen, can Greg Sankey be angry and at the same time stay in the NCAA? Yeah, he should do that. He should be angry and be like, we probably should have got one more team in the college football playoff. Let's expand, blah, 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 blah. And I know people are talking about the 4 minimum teams getting in from the NCAA or from the SEC to the college football playoff if it expands to, I believe, 16 teams. I don't even see the need for that, honestly, because at 16, you're probably going to end up with 4 to 6 of them anyways, being from the SEC if the SEC stays with that. So a lot of these things kind of take care of themselves if you expand to 16.
Yeah.
By the way, after that, do not expand past 16. We've seen every sport in America water themselves down by expanding. I think the NFL has watered its product down. If you go and watch the first round of NFL playoff games, they are complete blowouts now, guys. They are complete blowouts. I had to watch my Denver Broncos get beat by 30 plus Buffalo Bills because they didn't deserve to play the Buffalo Bills because we were the 7th seed. That makes no sense why we got in the playoffs. The NBA is literally 70% of the league makes the playoffs. So why the hell does the regular season matter? Baseball honestly might be the only sport with it's a long regular season where it matters at least a little bit because they only allow, I think, 12 teams total. So they need to stop expanding as well because they just added a team on each side. So college football, I'm begging you, one, SEC, do not secede, and if you do, bring the other teams with you. Number 2, stop expanding. It's got to stop. More doesn't mean better in every circumstance.
Yeah, and I mean it's all driven by money at this point, right? That's really what it is. The SEC wants more teams in there, and part of the way that the SEC is pushing for the 16-team playoff is them trying to have their cake and eat it too, because they're trying to keep the value of the SEC regular season by having these automatic bids and these weird play-in games that kind of substitute for a conference championship game, while also not really wanting to participate. It just seems weird to me. It seems, and this is weird. This is going to sound weird coming from a Texas fan. It seems greedy in a terrible way that Texas, it just feels gross to me. It feels really, really gross. And ultimately, I think it's bad for the sport. I think it's probably not great for the athletes, not just like I mentioned on the football field. But again, we're live right now at 7:28, and OU still sucks. They're getting beat by softball right now, right? Like all these other sports and all these other athletes will have a negative impact and outcome from it. Again, I don't love the NCAA. I've been very, very staunchly anti the way the NCAA has done a lot of things, but I think ultimately when it comes down to it, if you don't have the other support systems in place that the NCAA is currently providing, regardless of all the other things that I think the NCAA could be doing better, right? Providing the structure for the college basketball tournaments, the Women's College World Series, the World Series, track and field national championships are happening right now. Texas competed for a golf national championship, both the men and the women, a week ago. Texas got 3rd in the nation in rowing this past weekend, right? Should have been 1st, still salty about that. But all these things are still happening under and with the support of the NCAA. So that really, to me, is like the linchpin, right? If you can find a way to keep these other programs healthy and active, then see what you can do, right? And that would require, like you mentioned, bringing the other conferences with you, right? Creating something outside of the NCAA with the Big Ten, with the ACC, with the Big 12, and potentially with even this like new look Pac-12 that they're starting to form out on the West Coast, right? All those things I think need to happen for me to feel good about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We fans don't like the NCAA because they've been reactionary and haven't set up their system to adapt with the times when they knew stuff was happening. So it would be the exact same thing if the SEC decided, you know what, it's 2028, we don't have to be here anymore, because I believe that is timeline 2020 or 29 where we could actually do this. And then we just secede and we don't have a plan. Well, guess what? That's just what the NCAA did. So don't be reactionary. You have 3 to 4 years now. If this is your plan, talk to the other commissioners, get everything set up, and then get out, and it'll be a smooth transition. And I would have no issue with that. I don't think anyone would have any issue with that. But if you're just going to be reactionary like the NCAA, guess what? You might as well just stay in the NCAA.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And again, that's my big issue with the NCAA is the reactionary nature of how they've done it and the kind of the weakness of the enforcement arm and how they do it. But again, if you don't have the support for these other sports that I love watching and these players love watching, then it's not a fair and good move for Texas and for the sports overall.
No, 100%. Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below.